Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all once again to another of our tutorial. You are all welcome. I really appreciate every minute you spend to watch any of my videos. I really appreciate it. Let's go on as we continue this our tutorial on how to cut this our box crop top. So what you will do first to cut your bust crop top, you take your bust circumference measurement plus 2 inches for ease, divide by 4. So divide by 4, that is what you will get for the front, plus your 2 inches for your zip allowance for the back. It is unfold, so I have both front and back, as you can see, placed here already. So what I did was to take my circumference divided by 4 plus half inch, since it is unfold. Second, you can see you can see your allowance for your zip. You can make it 1.5, you can make it 2 inches. It all depends on you. 2 inches is better, 1.5 is also better. And you take your full length of your crop top. What I have here is 15 plus 1 inch for sewing allowance, both half at the up and half at the back, make it 16. So what I do next is to take my shoulder measurement. 14 divided by 2 gives me 7, and I came down again to take 7 inches. And to get the depth of my armhole circumference, my armhole circumference is 16 divided by 2 gives me 8. So that is what you are seeing me taking there. And then I ruled a straight line to get my armhole curve. I ruled my armhole to connect my curves. And I go ahead to get my bust measurement, and I took the same thing at the down. Since it is a box, it looks like a square, so the measurement is straight, there is no shaping. You can see this is exactly my bust measurement, plus my half inch for ease. Take the same at the down because it is a square box crop top. So what we have left at the other end is our sewing allowance. So to get my slope, I come down by 1 inch my shoulder slope, and I get the midpoint between the 7, which is 3.5. That is what I took there, 3.5. So I connect it down to the bust measurement, and the ease. That is where I connect it to, and I connect it down. Then for my neck, I took 3 inches for the width, and the depth I took 3.5 for the depth. Come again and took 3.5 to get your accurate neck curve. In case you are not with your French curve, to connect it to make a square, and get the midpoint of this other end, get your midpoint of this end, and get your midpoint of this other end too, and connect midpoint to midpoint to get your neck depth, your neck shape. If you are not with a French curve, an easy way to get your neck curve. So what I do now is to connect my shoulder slope from my neck to the armhole. So for the back, I come down by 1.5 for the back depth. 1.5. You can see the extension. You can indicate it because you can see the zipper allowance is separated. So what we are going to do now is to cut the back first before cutting the front. So I'll go ahead to cut. At this note, in case you have not subscribed to my channel, please click the subscribe button if you want to watch more, because I have a lot of video coming up. After you have done that, you take off the back, and we are now going to extend the neck of the front. After cutting, you go ahead to cut your lining for both your front and the back. So this is our line which we are going to use. I have cut it already. You can see I've cut it off. You can see the back, I slit it open for your zipper to enter, for you to join your lining. So for the front, you can see it is equal, but what we are going to do is to reduce the lining by 1/2 inch. At the down part of your lining, you reduce it by 1/2 inch. Both the front and the back, so that your lining won't show after sewing. It will be inside your box top. 1/2 inch. That is what I'm trying to get there. 1/2 inch there, and at the end too. 1/2 inch at the end. Then you cut. So you go ahead to cut the back lining also. Make sure it is equal. So I've gone ahead to cut it out for the back. So what we'll do now is to place your fabric right side facing right side, and sew at the up your neck and the down, then you top stitch. Do the same for the back. So I've gone ahead to sew it, and I top stitch it at both the neck and the down part of our full length crop top. So what you do now is to rule your line for your zip allowance, where your zip is going to sit. To indicate where your zip is going to sit, you roll it down and you sew the line which you've marked out. You sew it. So I have sewn it and I ironed it. You can see the lines there. I have sewed it and I ironed it open. What I'm going to show you now is something I don't want you to try, because if you take 2 inches there now, which you can see I'm marking now, because I'm going to fix the zip. If you mark it like that and sew from the down up to that end there, it won't be able for you to wear, because after zipping that which you have there now, you can see I've fixed it already. It won't be able for you to wear because won't allow the zip to pass through for your head to be able to enter. So it is not advisable to fix your zip like this. So what I will go ahead to do is to take my bust measurement. After taking my circumference of my bust plus 2 inches allowance, what it gives me, that is what I'm going to put there, divided by 2. It is not unfold again. Divided by 2, take it there and check what is left, and input one here and put the other at the other end. I go to the down part. From this extreme end, take my measurement down there and check what is left here, divided by 2, put one there and put the other at the other side to get my accurate measurement. And I roll down the lines, connect it together, and I will sew. And at the shoulder, you open it like this. Make sure it is aligned together. The shoulder, make sure it is aligned together, lining to lining, fabric to fabric. Sew it down, and this also you sew it down, lining to lining, fabric to fabric. So I have gone ahead to sew my side, and I ironed it, press open, and I have sewn the shoulder. You can see it is aligned together. It is marking and meeting each other. Make sure your own looks like that, and you open and iron. So our next place which we are going to fix is the sleeve. So we get our sleeve circumference. Come again to get your sleeve circumference. You can see my sleeve circumference 16. I'm going to mark, put a shock there just to show where it indicates where I'm going to put it. So this is how to cut my sleeve. I have a video on how to cut your basic sleeve, and I just want to refreshing our minds on how to cut a basic sleeve. So how to cut your basic sleeve, your armhole circumference divided by 2, that is exactly what you are going to place here. Your width, your armhole circumference divided by 2, that is what you are going to place there. So I go ahead to cut out our English mouth, which there are some written words on it, and I don't want it to show. Go ahead to trim it out. And my sleeve length is 7 plus my 1 inch for sewing allowance, gives me 8, because I'm going to take half at the down and half at the up after joining. And I come the same and take 8 inches there. So my cap height, I'm going to come down by 4 inches. I'm still getting my exact circumference measurement divided by 2. And at this note, I'm going to draw a straight line from my cap depth, which is 4, down to my length of my sleeve. You can see it there, the length of my sleeve. And I'm going to get the measurement of what you are seeing there from the cap depth to the sleeve length. The midpoint, I'm going to locate the midpoint and place a shock mark at the midpoint. So on this midpoint now, I'm going to come up by ½ inch. So I connect from the cap, from the length to the midpoint, then connect down to the armhole. So you can see my cap height has formed out already. So I'm going to take my armhole circumference measurements now to get my armhole circumference measurement, which I have there, plus my 1 inch for sewing allowance. and I get my sleeve circumference, my round sleeve circumference plus my 1 inch for sewing allowance, and I connect. It is very, very, very easy to make. Just follow the instructions. So two piece which I've already cut out in both the lining for the sleeves, I've cut them out and I place it and sew my sleeve right side facing right side, but the other one too, going to sew it open and top stitch. So I have sewn my sleeves. As you can see, I top stitch it as I told you, and the upper part I sewed it round. So to attach it now, that is what we are going to do. After it, we are done with it. You can see the zip part. As I told you, I have changed it and put this. It should look like this because of your neck. So when you zip down, it will be easier for you to wear. When it's open, you can wear it on and zip up. So we are going to attach our sleeve and you see the final result of what we have been making. At this note, I want to thank you all for joining me. You can see what we have been making. You can see how beautiful it looks. So please, in case you have not subscribed, click the subscribe button and subscribe. God bless you and remain blessed.